Hello and welcome to Throttle Up. Let's face it, the Koreans have dominated the mid-size SUV segment for a long time now. Be it the Kia Seltos or the Hyundai Creta, the numbers were phenomenal. There were cars, the Skoda Kushaq, the Volkswagen Taygun, Maruti Suzuki Grand Vitara is a new entrant. They're obviously not Koreans, but their sales figures are good. But let's face it, many of us were just waiting for a 1.5 liter i-VTEC mid-size SUV, and now here it is, the Honda Elevate. This is the VX variant, which is one down from the topmost ZX variant, and I've already covered that, so you can check that video out if you want to look at the topmost variant of the Honda Elevate. But this is what Honda Elevate gets you. You can leave aside the features, the looks, and the entire design and just be buying for one reason alone. This power-packed 1.5 liter naturally aspirated petrol i-VTEC. It produces a maximum power of 121 bhp and a maximum torque of 145 Newton meters. And personally, driving the same engine in the Honda City, this engine is phenomenal. You get very good mid-range, extremely nice punch in the third gear, and it's just a very nice engine to drive. There is some insulation on the bonnet, and bonnet is on the heavier side. It's not the heaviest that I've seen in this segment, but yes, it will get a 5-star rating because Honda City has it, so you can be assured of the safety. Now for the front design. The front design and the overall look of this car is boxy, like an SUV should be, and it gets a huge front grille, as you can see right here. The VX variant and the lower variants get a matte finish for the front grille, but the ZX variant gets a glossy grille, which looks a little nice. But yes, this grille is still nice to look at, although I'm not particularly a fan of very big grills, which it is. So yeah, that's about the grille. Now for the front headlamp, that is something that I really like. It reminds me of the Honda City. It has good, nice length for the DRL. You get two headlamps which have 4 crystals in each of the headlamps, and the DRL also couples as a turn indicator, as you can see right there. The chrome is also nice. It does add to the contrast element as compared to the black grille. So overall, good job done. It feels understated, it feels elegant, just like a Honda should be. So no complaints for the front design. Actually, I really like it, especially the headlamp. Now for the side profile, you get 4,312 millimeters in length and a wheelbase of 2,650 millimeters, which is nice. It does feel like a big car from the side profile. I know the frame is a little problematic right now. In terms of the features, you get body color door handles and request sensor on both the sides, so that's nice. You get turn indicators on ORVMs, and there are no sensors or camera because this does not get the ADAS suite or the 360 pan camera. Now for the wheels, you get a 215/55 R17, and the alloy design is obviously diamond cut and dual tone, but it reminds me of the Amaze alloy design, which is kind of a problem, and this design remains the same as ZX also. They should have just experimented a little bit with the alloy wheel. You get chrome garnish on the windowsill, which runs from end to end, so that's nice. You get a non-functional roof rail and a sunroof, which is not panoramic because the Honda Elevate doesn't get any whatsoever. Now for the roof rails, you would have to opt for at least VX because the lower variant, does not get any, and roof rails do give it an SUV stance, so it's kind of important. Now you get black plastic cladding, which is nice, which gives it a little SUV stance again. This part feels empty to me. They could have just given a little more design element of gloss black or matte black just to enhance the side profile by a little bit, but that's just me overthinking. Now for the rear profile, it remains the same as a ZX, so that's nice. There is absolutely no way you can actually differentiate between a VX and a ZX. You get an integrated spoiler of sorts, but the stop lamp is not housed there, it's inside. You get the rear defogger, rear washer and wiper, which is standard given that it's a 14 lakh rupees ex-showroom car. You get a connected lamp treatment, and this is the tail lamp, which gets part halogen and part LED treatment. So this is how it looks like when it's lit up. So this is LED, but it is halogen for the turn indicators and reverse light. It should have been completely LED, at least in the VX and ZX variant, and that's sort of a problem. This feels like cost cutting unnecessarily. You get Elevate badging on the left and i-VTEC badging on the right. There is no badging whatsoever for any variant at the back. You get 2 reflectors and black bumper with a skid plate design of sorts. There is no fake exhaust treatment, which is nice. You get the real exhaust at the right. So I like that there is no fake exhaust. You get rear parking sensors and rear parking camera, obviously. And do not be fooled by the tailgate going slowly. It does not get any power tailgate functionality. The boot space is 458 liters and gets a lamp right there. There are no hooks. There is no 12-volt socket, but you do get a 60/40 split. The alloy wheel, the fifth wheel, is not an alloy wheel. It's simple steel wheel, and it's a 16-incher, so it's a size smaller than the other 4 wheels. ZX variant also does not have the power tailgate, so obviously the VX also doesn't have it. But yeah, the boot space is class leading, which is 458 liters if I did not mention it earlier. So that's good. Now coming to the interior. This is where things get very different from the ZX variant. Oh, it was so close. I could have just hit the car. Thank God. Now, you get a lot of plastic treatment here. This is plastic. This is fabric. This is not leather. But I have to admit that the ZX color theme and the soft treatment does look so upmarket. And I'll tell you what's the biggest problem that I have. The cup holder is obviously like the ZX. There is no tweeter here. It's just a simple plastic cutout to make you notice that there is no tweeter in the VX variant, which is so stupid. Why just close it all together? Why just give it a cut? I know they were saving cost by making the same template, same frame for all the cards, regardless of the variant, but that's weird. You also do not get any leather upholstery. This is a fabric dual tone interior, which gets you a beige color of sorts coupled with the black color. But then again, as you can see in my ZX review, that dark caramel color feels so good. It feels like you're stepping inside a much expensive car, but the space remains the same. The legroom is very good. There's a lot of space. The thigh support is decent, could have been a little bit better, and the problem is that the third passenger would definitely not be comfortable because there's a hump on the seat and at the floor, and there's also no third headrest. So the third passenger is definitely not welcome here. The VX variant misses out on the center armrest, which is so strange. It's very normal for a car of this segment, and they just do not give a center console armrest, which is so weird. You get a 12-volt socket, AC vents just like you do in the other variants, and the Hotter City. Obviously, you get magazine holders on both the sides, which is pretty much expected. You do not get a panoramic sunroof, and as a result, the headroom is decent. You get a cabin lamp, which has simple halogen treatment. There are handles on all the sides of the car. This is how the dashboard looks like. You can see that the color treatment is what basically differentiates this interior, not just from ZX, but also from V. Because if you are moving from V to VX, you get a lot of features and a lot of design elements in the VX variant. So VX definitely has to be the one variant that you go for, because you do not get the alloy wheels in the V variant. You do not get soft treatment on the door pads like you do in the fabric element. Obviously there's no leather in VX, but the armrest that you can see right there, that is fabric. The V doesn't. And I'll come to the other elements in just a bit. Now the door pad obviously remains the same. You also get ambient lighting in VX and ZX, which you do not get in the V. Ambient lighting is stored right here. Apart from that, hard plastics throughout. The only thing is this armrest, which is fabric. This is fabric. Bottle holder is decently sized. You get auto up down for the driver's side seat. You can close or open the ORVM from here only, which starts from VX and goes till ZX. You do not get any electrical adjustability for the driver's side seat because even ZX does not offer it. Since this is the manual, you get 3 pedals and there's a proper dedicated dead pedal. You get levers to open the bonnet and the fuel lid. There's traction control button, headlight leveler, and that's the AC vent. Now let's get inside. Now, the clear mark of being seated in a VX or the ZX of the Honda Elevate is that instrument cluster right there. It makes a very neat sound and an animation when you close the door, even when the ignition is switched off. Now, when you turn on the ignition, it does a full swipe up. One is analog and one is analog treatment, but a digital screen, which couples as an MID, and I love this treatment. I have said this a gazillion times. This is one of the best treatments of digitals with analog that I've seen in a long time. I do not like the digital treatment which Hyundai has been doing, like the Exter, the Verna. The only good touch instrument cluster that they've given is the 10.25 instrument cluster that they provide in the Alcazar, and Kias are providing the Seltos. Now the MID is nice. You get very crisp animation and the resolution is pretty good. And it's just very neat to look at. There is no confusion, and I don't even actually need to explain it. You get the G meter and all the fancy bits. The home button and that rotatable knob on the steering wheel is basically used to control the instrument cluster, and it's so neat. You get tachometer, range and fuel, speed and time, G meter, settings, and to customize the menu for this. So yeah, it's very easily explainable, and actually don't even need to explain it. It's self-explanatory, and you do not need to go through menus and settings to actually understand it. So very nicely done. You can adjust the brightness through that left button on the place right there. You get auto headlamps as it's written on the stock, but the problem is that it does not just even miss out on the ADAS suite, which is still understandable. It misses on the cruise control, so that's a big problem to me. You get a rotatable knob, which I just showed you. That's used for the instrument cluster. The other controls are for the infotainment and to pick up or hang up your calls. It also gets the voice control, but that's only usable with the Android Auto and Apple CarPlay when it's connected with the wire. You do not get any wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. The other thing which irks me a little is a very inconvenient positioning for the lever to adjust the tilt and telescopic functionality for the steering wheel. You get tilt and telescopic, but the lever is placed in a very inconvenient location. My hand automatically does not go there just like it does in the other cars, so that's problematic. The other thing which is standard across SV, V and VX is the 8-inch infotainment, because the 10.25 infotainment is only restricted to the ZX variant. And when you peel off this film, you realize that the screen is good to look at, but the brightness is still not at par with its competitors' infotainment screen. You get the settings, you can change the color of this, you can set a wallpaper, you can also adjust it through the third button that you see. It's basically to put it into day or night mode, which basically changes the brightness of it. The screen is easy to use, but still not fancy enough. If you have used the Hyundai or the Kia infotainment, even the Grand Vitara Smart Play Pro Plus, it feels very nice and feels premium. This feels just that it's just there to do the job. It's very Sarkari attitude कि हम बस काम कर देंगे, but yeah, there's no jazz to it. Absolutely not. It just does get the job done, and that's about it. It's not the highlight of the Honda Elevate at all, and I'm saying this for the ZX as well, because only the screen gets bigger. The intuitiveness and the interface remains pretty much the same, but still it's still a step up from the infotainments that we have seen in the Honda cars, even in the Honda City, the previous generation. This is hard plastic, this is hard plastic. You get a lot of hard plastic, but still feels premium because the plastic used is nice. And you get 6 speaker setup, so 2 tweeters at the front, 4 speakers overall. There are no 8 speakers like we do in the ZX. The AC vents are normal. You get this finishing for the HVAC system, and the controls feel very much similar to the ones that we are seeing in the Maruti, the Baleno, the Fronx, the Grand Vitara. They're nice to use, but could have just had more innovation here. You get a wireless charger, that's a 12-volt socket, 2 USB socket, but still no freaking Type-C, and Type-C is still there, not even in the ZX, so VX obviously doesn't get it. This is the turn on or turn off the wireless charger. You get 2 cup holders, and this is the manual gear knob. The gear shifts are smooth when I drove it, and it's just like in the city. The low end torque is still a problem, which is still weird. You get black finishing for the manual handbrake. There is no chrome finish whatsoever on this handbrake, which feels a little down market, honestly. You get a center console armrest, which has decent space, and a glove box, which again has decent space and nothing to write really home about. So yeah, for the ergonomics bit, it's still nice. You get very nice piano black finish. This finishing reminds me of the Skoda Kodiaq. It's very much resembles that piano black finish. You get mirrors on only the co-driver side sun visor, but there's no on the driver side sun visor. This is to basically turn on or turn off the cabin lamps, which have a white treatment. There's a manual sunblind because this is not a panoramic sunroof, and I would have still been okay if the panoramic sunroof was available in ZX, but you do not get any panoramic sunroof in the Honda Elevate. But you get a one-touch operation, which is nice, and the area when it opens is still decent. You get 2 adjustable headrests at the front. There's no adjustability for the seat belt, which is kind of weird, and the bolstering and the seats are really comfortable, and that goes across the variant lineup. So very nicely done. You also get a lane camera, blind spot camera, just like you have seen in the Honda City ZX, but this is only restricted to VX and ZX, so you do not get that in the lower variants. And the resolution is better if I compare it to the Honda City that I have. Now let's turn off the turn off the ignition by using the engine start stop button, and it goes completely dark. There's no animation when you're exiting the car, which is kind of weird and something that I expected, but yes, it's a very small thing. Overall, the VX variant is definitely the one to go for, and I'll tell you exactly why. You get a lot of features as compared to the lower V trim, but don't miss out on a lot of things if you are also considering the ZX variant. So it sits perfectly in between both those variants and offers you the best value for money. Some notable features which this one gets over the V variant are the fog lamps, roof rails, which I told you earlier also. The sunroof is not available in V. The diamond cut alloys, because if you see the car standing on the left, it offers steel wheels which are R16s, but this VX gets alloy wheel and 17-inch wheels. There's soft touch on the door pads, automatic headlamps, phone or wireless phone charger, ambient lighting, lane watch camera. The entire instrument cluster is digital, but you get the very normal analog instrument cluster in the V variant. So there are many features which you get in the VX, but the only things that you miss out in terms of comparing it to the ZX are the 6 airbags, auto dimming IRVM, the 2 tweeters, additional 2 tweeters at the rear 2 doors, and the entire interior color thematics. So That does elevate the ZX experience a lot, but still the difference is huge. On road around 2 lakh rupees between the VX and the ZX if I talk about the manual. And I will talk about the manual because if you're buying a 1.5 i-VTEC, do not look at the CVT, specifically go for the manual because it's a joy to ride. If you're actually wanting to buy an automatic car, I would rather suggest you go for a DCT or a DSG in the Koreans or the Germans respectively, because if you're buying a Japanese Honda 1.5 i-VTEC, just maximize your experience and go for the manual. CVT would be for the very few cases who do not have a problem with the rubber band effect and so on and so forth. So that was my take on the Honda Elevate VX. Also do check out the ZX review of mine for the Honda Elevate. Let me know in the comments what do you think about this car and whether would you buy one if you had a budget of say 15 to 18 lakh rupees to spend on a mid-size SUV. Subscribe to my channel for more such content and do not forget to comment or like just to create engagement and make this video reach to more people. Keep watching. Throttle up.